Is culture a buzzword or a legit boss? What's up and welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? Hello, I'm Zack Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I'm my co-host, Tim Ryan, lead man at StartWheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show each and every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business, no matter the climate. So you might know of single word humans like Madonna or Pele, but today you're going to learn about Luv, the owner over at CLTRE, a vegan joint. Is there an A in there or did I add the A? Is it just CLTRE vegan joint?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of like Facebook, you know, when they removed the, I added an A. So Sean Parker, a.k.a. Justin Timberlake, would approve of what I just did. Do you approve of adding the A in that case or no?
You call it a vegan joint. It's a vegan joint, so I have no qualms.
Bam. Have you ever watched the Facebook movie, Social Network?
Nope.
Tim, have you?
I have.
Oh,
Been a long time, but I have.
It. I think it's like free everywhere, so you should just watch it. So Sean Parker is the guy who created Napster. Remember that from way back when?
Mm-hmm.
When we all used to download a bunch of illegal music.
Piracy.
Oh, yeah. And then he became, I believe, the first president at Facebook. And he was having drinks with Mark Zuckerberg when Zucks was like 20, I guess. And he in the movie, he goes, drop the. And then it wasn't the Facebook. It used to be thefacebook.com. And then they dropped the. And now it's just facebook.com or whatever
Meta.
It is today. Meta. You know, that's so meta.
Yeah. I don't know if that dude that plays Mark is a really good actor or if he's just a really bad actor, but I have a hard time watching anything Zuckerberg because he's so robotic and it makes me uncomfortable.
What about Jesse Eisenberg? You liked him in that though? The guy who plays him?
Well, I don't know if I've seen him in any other part other than him playing Mark Zuckerberg. So I don't know who he is.
He's like an awkward nerd, but he's good. Yeah. All right. Enough of that. So, singular word names like love.
I was just real quick though. I was just thinking about. What a cool thing that the state of Virginia is for you. Virginia's for lovers. So
has anyone ever said that before? That's great. The state is for you. Oh, there you go. You heard it here first on the Fervent 4. What? When I first met you many moons ago, probably 6-7 years ago, I would think.
What is that backstory?
She just walked in the hatch, I guess.
Oh, no kidding.
I would guess, right? Is that just what happened?
How did it happen?
It's always weird, to figure out how people got introduced.
Well, especially, because you and I have been besties for 10 years. So it doesn't happen very often that you know someone that we have not crossed paths at some point. So I'm always interested what that backstory is.
Well, she would definitely come to the early morning.
Yep.
Tuesday coffees, which I don't think you probably ever came to, Tim.
Yeah, I would. I would. I didn't go to all of them, but I would try to go when I could.
Yeah. So there was that, and then 1004 probably in there, but I don't remember how we met.
I went to the State of the Startup too.
I was there.
I actually wish you'd do that again because I enjoyed the State of the Startup. But yeah, I used to come to your networking events at Hatch, and we would just chop it up. Real casually. And then we would, offline, we would talk and just kind of, shoot the breeze. And I would tell you ideas and you would just kind of, throw some stuff out there, throw some knowledge out there.
What were you doing back then? Did you have a 9-to-5 did you have a venture at that point?
Yeah, so I was working in banking. I can't remember if I was in banking when I met you, Zach, but in 2016 is when I quit my my banking gig, and I was just going to college full time, and also I was working. I started a catering company with a partner And we had another company
Stephanie,
in
is that
addition
her
to
name?
that. Yep.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep. So we had a couple companies happening at one time, and really we weren't necessarily focused on the companies, growing the companies at that time. We were focused on growing our network and learning entrepreneurship. So that was our goal. The reason why we were kind of, rubbing elbows with different people.
Rubbing elbows. I haven't heard that one in a while. When was the last time you rubbed elbows? When was the last time you rubbed elbows with someone? Is that
That's the handshake now, right?
I don't even like to handshake people anymore. I'm like,
that's what I'm saying.
Someone, I was somewhere yesterday and someone, and I was like, boom, like,
you did it.
What?
You're germaphobe.
I am. And last time I saw Tim, he opened the door for me, and I was like, "Thank you."
Well, yeah, because Zach was trying to hit the elevator floor numbers with his foot. I mean, it doesn't work that way. I mean,
I do that in the bathroom.
Well, the bathroom is one thing where it's a toilet handle, but an elevator button. I mean, you have to, unless you have crazy dexterity with sneakers, Zach. I don't know.
Dude, you did not give me the opportunity to actually succeed and to blow your mind from this.
Well, Zach, you also got one of these.
Right.
Yeah, but then I gotta wear that. Then I gotta wear that all day, and maybe I rub my own elbows, and then I get all people's germs all up in me, and then I play with my beard, and then like. But I look at some of the so yes, I am somewhat of a germaphobe, which is ridiculous. But I guess the reason some of those things is because you look at it and you go, well, when was the last time you think that thing was actually cleaned? Like you see the thing at the credit card processor, like in the thing straight up says, don't clean this. And you want me to touch that? Come on. Like, that's Chris.
My worst, the place I have the hardest time, well, two, is in the bathroom and at the gas pump. Oof, those are my two most the hardest places for me to function and not feel grimy or gross afterwards is the bathroom and the gas pump.
Here's my tip for the gas station. Tim doesn't have a car that needs gas anymore, so he doesn't have that problem. He's got a Tesla. But so I take like the dog waste bags and I put my hand in it and I use that to use the pump and touch everything. Because look, I don't think it's been cleaned. I just don't think it is, and it's gross.
And you can get those bags at the dollar store, like rolls of them, like 5 rolls of however many bags are in each roll for $1 or $1.25 now. I forgot, inflation took it.
Not everything. I think not everything is $1.25. I think only some things. So we get, I think, 1,000 bags from Amazon. They have their own company or their own product line now, and that seems to be the cheapest. They seem to be fine, whatever. Okay. All right. So we met many moons ago. You were doing a bunch of things, food. It's my job as a host, or Tim's job as a host, to try and reel this all in. And for 8 minutes and 22 seconds, the viewers are like, y'all are like definitely a little crazy.
No, maybe there was some good backstory there, but go ahead, Zach.
It was good. So you just didn't like corporate America? That wasn't your thing?
No, corporate America. I have no issues with corporate America. I had a knack for doing my own thing. I love the idea of building something from the ground up and taking all the tools that I learned from corporate America and applying them to a business model. So I actually am not one of those people that's like, exit corporate America. I'm like, take the tools of corporate America. And if you want to be an entrepreneur, use those tools. And, because I've worked at, very high-end companies that have helped my resume. I'll go for an interview and I'm like, all I got to do is put Nordstrom on my resume. And they're like, oh, she's hired, just because they know.
There's a lot that you can learn from the process of a big company that I think a lot of people eliminate because they're like, oh, big business, whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, but like, there's something impressive that
you figured something out.
I mean, I will talk about the Mac Shack again, or you could talk about Chick-fil-A or something like that. Let's talk about a non-food option. Any big company just whatever they've been able to do has been it's impressive to see that they can have tens of thousands, in some cases millions of employees that roll through. I mean, there's something special about that. And I think a lot of companies, they wonder why they don't see the growth that they want. And I think it's because they don't establish and appreciate some of the process that big companies have figured out. And that's what I think a lot of other
reason that people pay the price to stay at a Ritz-Carlton versus a Hojo or something.
Motel 6.
Never been to a Motel 6. Actually, you know what? I believe I have been at a Motel 6. I think it's the hotel that I stayed at, off of Airline
that turned you into a germaphobe.
Okay. You want to hear this ridiculous story? How Zack got to the 757? You want to hear the story? Do you want to or no?
Fire away.
Okay, so I have a journalism degree from the West Virginia University. I applied to like 17 jobs a day. I grew up in Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. I applied to a place down here for a job that I probably shouldn't have been able to get. But the hiring manager at the time, Kevin Rafferty, he happened to have ties to Morgantown, which is where WVU is. And I sent in the resume, and he was like, "Today might be your lucky day. Can you come in for an interview tomorrow or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I can." Yeah, I'm sure I suited up. I'm very sure I wore something suity.
Zack doesn't wear suits.
Well, at the time I was trying to be on air, so you would wear a suit, I guess. Yeah. So I had like 2 or 3 suits.
Your LinkedIn profile shows otherwise.
Am I wearing a suit in that?
You're wearing it's a shirt and tie.
I gotta look at that. But I was like, okay, where am I going to stay? I had no money. Norfolk was too expensive, like $300 a night. And I was like, fine. And then so I was like, okay, well, where else is there to go? And the guy goes, oh, well, go to Portsmouth or something like that. And I was like, okay. So I remember Googling like Portsmouth, and I could never, P-O-R-T Smith, S-M-I-T-H is how I kept trying to find it. Obviously, it's spelled Portsmouth. And then finally I found this like Motel 6, Econo Lodge, something like that. And it was like $39 a night, the Zack Miller special, only to find out that, like there's like ridiculous things that go on at this hotel. My banker now from Town Bank has told me, he's like, I can't believe you stay in that place. Like it's literally like where all the bad stuff happens. Like there's anything that you could think that would be bad in this kind of situation there. But that's where I stayed the first night.
It's basically a brothel.
Among other things, yes. There's some sort of violence. There's the brothel aspect of it. There's just randomness. And so they offered me the job, and I took it. And that's my my Portsmouth story of the hotel. And whatever. I mean, I don't know why we wasted 4 minutes on that. It's a terrible story. I apologize. So, okay. So you learned a lot of process from corporate America. You did the catering thing. You're vegan throughout all of this?
Yeah, or no? That's what I was curious.
So I became vegan in 2014. Well, 2015 really. 2014 was when I dabbled in it, and then 2015. Throughout that time, I really just kind of decided who I wanted to be on that vegan journey, and listen to my body. I did become radical in the beginning, and then I started to kind of let up and not have so much pressure on myself. I just kind of flexed and allowed myself to grow into the lifestyle. Mm-hmm.
So you opened up. I want to sequence this properly, but I'm curious, and I know that I'm going to forget this question, but so like, is your market segment, is it for the hardcore vegan people, or is it for people that you want to introduce to a vegan lifestyle, or is it both?
Okay, it's both, but I have a degree in communication. I'm all about the social aspect of dining and going out to eat. I am all about the social aspect of any space. And so what I sought to do is build a social space for people to come and enjoy delicious plant-based food. So yes and no. I wanted to kind of focus on the human side of veganism, opposed to the protests the protests of veganism. I want enjoyment. I want connections. I want people to have a deeper understanding of each other.
Because you had opened originally in a smaller location, similar area to the Kemp's River where you are now, but it was piggybacked off of an art studio, or
yep, we were inside
yeah.
of an art gallery, and which really
That was 5 years ago, probably, right?
That was, so we opened that in 2018. So we're going on 4 years of being in business.
Yeah, do my math.
Going on 4 years. So technically, I established the LLC in January of 2018 and opened in July of 2018. So
you learn a lot in that process of like, because I think a lot of people are like, I just got to build the greatest environment ever. I got to build the greatest location ever. That's what I got to do. And you went super small, and now you're in your own location. Like looking back, like, was that the right move? What did you learn from that type of thing? Like, what are your just overall kind of thoughts on maybe even an MVP if we're talking about, super, startup-y words on from a restaurant perspective?
Ooh, man, like I don't regret a single drop of the journey that it took to get to where I'm at now. So I consider my last space an incubator space, because that's kind of what it was. Is we were a test model. We were trying to see, okay, is this going to work? And is this what people want? And we blew it out the water. We were 300 square feet. We worked off of like kitchen appliances and a bunch of auction equipment that I found. We built out the back space to accommodate kitchen area, and I drove up to Maryland to like pick up sinks and different things that I just found to be really like less expensive. So yes, I started in total. I started that space with about $5,000. Of savings that I had from when I quit my job. I was like, all right, I'm just going to save this money and we're just going to work through it. And I use that.
That's really cheap for opening, a restaurant, if you will, right? I mean, most people would say you need at least $100,000 to do that. So I mean, to do it for.
They scare you into believing you can't start with.
Was there a hood in there? Did you need a hood? I mean, because
I didn't need a hood system because we weren't doing anything with grease. So the thing is I knew that I needed to start somewhere. And if I continued to scare myself into believing that I needed to start like everybody else, then I was going to continue to put it off, or I was going to get discouraged, or I was going to put myself into a financial hole that was going to be really hard to get out of. And so I had to kind of, I didn't have any pride really, but if I had any, it was put to the side so that I could just start. And when I start and I can get the paperwork and I can get the paper trail and the tax returns and the show of growth and all that, I can at least move into the next steps of what of what I wanted to do. But in the meantime, I just focused on doing a bang up job of socializing with people. Where we lacked in space, we made up for in service and in connections. So people would come in and sit for hours. People would call me and be like, hey, I'm riding by, but I can't stop because I'm going to get stuck. And that was the environment, was that people could come. And I mean, I still to this day, there are people who have made connections. They come into, this into new culture, and they're like, yo, what's up? Like, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you since the last, since old culture. And, they'll end up sitting down and talking and catching up. And so, we had 4 red chairs, and that's what people sat in and would be there all day. I mean, we open at like 8. There will be people who come in at 8 and wouldn't leave till we closed because of the social aspect.
So you hit this first part where you got the equipment. At what point did menu come into play to determine how many different menu items you were going to have?
Oh yeah, and sequence.
Yeah.
So I needed to find something, a menu item that we could be highlighted for. And I had tripped up on a good, I do it through trial and error. I tripped up on a good pancake recipe. And I was like, let me try this in the waffle iron. Tried it in the waffle iron and it hit right away. So we put that on the menu and we said, okay, well, with this waffle, we can do a bunch of different toppings. So I came up with some different gourmet toppings and then, of course, a customized topping. And then I said, I just need about 3 to 4 kind of lunchy items. And we went from there. So we probably had about a total of 6 items. And then we had coffee and tea as well. And with the coffee and tea, I actually ordered a Breville, which is a home espresso machine, because we didn't have the electric capacity to accommodate a regular espresso machine.
So there's a place in Norfolk, Ghent area called Handsome Biscuit. Owner is John Porter. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it or been there. He also had created that Field Guide business, a restaurant in downtown across from the new assembly space many years ago. And I remember talking to him before about this, and I was like, so Handsome Biscuit, it's a sweet potato biscuit joint, right? That's the basis of what it is. And it's very easy to vocalize that. And I think from what you just said, from the waffle perspective, it's very easy to vocalize that. He said, so when he had opened Field Guide, I said, so what's Field Guide? And he goes, I don't know. It's really hard to vocalize. It's really hard to figure out because it was all over the place. There was this, there was that, there was this, there was that. That's a bigger issue, I think, from a branding perspective than people give it kind of the necessity to. And so I think that's a really positive thing that you could just say, look, we're a vegan joint, and I get that, but what do you sell? Waffles is probably the first thing that comes out of your mouth, right? And so you go to a different place. The first thing that came to my mind was Buffalo Wild Wings, right? Like they're clearly chicken wings, right? That's what I should have said. Dirty Buffalo, they're a wing joint, right? It matters because when people are like, well, where should we go? And if they can't resonate with the food that's there, even if the experience is, amazing, they're going to be like, well, I don't know what it is. And they'll probably punt off of that, go into a concept like that. So kudos to you for figuring that out by happenstance, if you will, by just throwing it in the waffle thing. So you don't use eggs. You're a total vegan joint. Like how do you, is this proprietary information? Can you tell us how you make the waffles?
The ingredients are proprietary, but we make them with 5 ingredients, and they're all healthy. One ingredient that we use that we do tell people is that we use spelt flour, which is an ancient grain that is really good for your digestive system. So it's a healthy waffle. And again, we use all clean ingredients for
What's another one of the ingredients?
Baking soda.
I'm trying.
How, from a price standpoint, is it more expensive to have a vegan waffle versus an IHOP Waffle House waffle?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know.
I'm looking that up right now.
I believe that we are comparable. I do know that they use a premix, and we make our waffle batter from scratch. So there's a chance that our consistency, and when you come in for a waffle, sometimes it might be a little more crispy, sometimes it might be a little bit more thicker, or and we do work on consistency. Like that's a really big part of our I guess growth model, is to just maintain consistency. But we are still small, and we are still doing a lot of things by hand, so you're going to get that experience.
Sure. The reason I ask is just like you have Impossible Meats or healthy options. People are willing to pay much more than the unhealthy option. But then at the same token, it's always really crazy in the sense of how cheap it is to eat so unhealthy. And you just have to figure out as a business owner, hey, this is the direction I want to go in. This is my market. This is who I'm marketing to, and onward. So it sounds like that is what you have done.
It looks like it's about $1 more, you guys, compared to.
We do. So our target market is 18 to 44. And within that target market, we try to pay attention to the demographics. And so we do try to keep our prices affordable. Some places, in my personal opinion, some vegan places will crank the prices up. And it almost feels unethical to me because I want to make sure that people can enjoy quality food at a reasonable price and not based on a trend. Because if we really want
so
to
avocado toast doesn't have to be $17,000. Is that what you're telling me?
Right. Our avocado toast is $9, and we ain't got an award for it yet, but we got some award-winning avocado toast. Okay. I mean, people come in there and they're like, what? I mean, because we make our avocado mix. We put this tofu scramble on it. It's made with pumpkin seed. So it's soy-free tofu scramble. And we fix it up and we put our own coconut bacon on it, and it's amazing. I personally don't eat avocado, but I came up with the recipe, so I have to kind of and it's good. The flavor is there and people love it.
Have you heard of coconut bacon, Tim?
Yes. No. Yes, we make our own coconut bacon.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's delicious. People ask us to put it in little containers so that they can just eat it like a snack.
Okay, so that's interesting. Like, are there like little like the food tchotchkes or things like things for people to buy from that perspective? Have you done that aspect of it yet to like make money afterwards, or is it just like kind of the dining experience at your traditional restaurant?
We're getting there. The reason why there's some things that we have not implemented is because one, we were in that first year of transition, and the pivot happened so fast that I didn't quite grasp how all the extra money outside of ordering and things like that looked until I got staffing right, because we, of course, y'all know we're in a whole staffing situation right now. And so I had some staffing issues. And before I started to put too much on our plate, I wanted to make sure that I had a solid game plan for my staff. Okay. Am I going to hire someone to just come in and prep to-go items to put in the fridge? Am I just going to hire someone to do juicing? Am I just going to? So, what is the front line going to do? So I just had to figure all that out. Because we do hire micro entrepreneurs, I also had to figure out how I'm going to support them and also make sure that Culture has their branded stuff to sell as well. So it's just a lot that goes into my model because I am looking at a more progressive model. So I am doing the slow and steady kind of growth.
It looks like coconut bacon, Tim, is based off of coconut flakes that then are kind of like similar to if you were to make your own granola. Mm-hmm. Is kind of how I would.
Which we do too. We make our own granola.
There you go. Okay, so a couple of things that I know I want to talk about and things that you just talked about. You ready? You ready to deep dive into this crazy nonsense?
I'm ready.
Okay. So I saw a post on your Facebook recently. You and I are Facebook friends, and you encouraged people to do something that I had never thought of, heard of, and it's involving food stamps. It's involving government assistance as an entrepreneur. Obviously, I think most people know that those things are there, but they don't look at it from I've started a business. I could leverage and capitalize off of this type of thing. Is that something that you were notified about, that was a good avenue? Is it just something that you went after? Give me the backstory of kind of how all of that kind of evolved. And it's definitely something that I think is something that Well, a purpose like this, entrepreneurs, in my opinion, from the government rules and regulations, are the ones that have the hardest time, right? Everything is built for the employee. Everything is built for the teammate. And that's, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but then the person who's taking all of the risk, it's very difficult for them in many of these situations to even get a paycheck, to emotionally stick with it. You know, if you hear that 80% of businesses fail within 5 years, and we're not doing anything to help these people, like that's, but yet that's where all the jobs are. Like, it's like there's something missing there. And so when you said this, and a lot of people were supporting it, and I actually don't think I saw any hate towards it, which I was excited that you weren't canceled for it, because you know we live in such a cancel culture at this point. It was very interesting, and I was like, oh, that's. There were maybe times where myself or other entrepreneurs that I know would have loved to have, you know, had some sort of like government assistance for something like that through our journeys. And so, how did this become something that you took advantage of?
Well, first, let me say that one thing about me is I really pride myself on always taking people out of their comfort zone when it comes to my thoughts and how I approach things. And I personally, growing up, we grew up on government assistance. And my parents, though, they were like, look, you guys go and make a life for yourself. You know, you don't want to end up on these assistances because they have stipulations that keep you stuck on them. You know, I mean, there was one point where my mom, you know, used to tell us, hey, your dad is your brother. You know, don't tell people that he's your dad, because then we could lose our stuff. And it just always, it kind of hurt me, because I'm like, I can't just have a normal ass narrative. Y'all have to like my narrative has to be controlled by the government and how they assist us. You know, in all of our disenfranchisement and all of our poorness, they have to control us and not really give us the opportunity to propel forward. So as I grew up, growing and learning about money and learning about different ways that I can leverage to continue to get ahead, I started to really do my research and dive deeper and really get into the deeper perspective of these programs that are available to us. And as I started to do that, my whole perspective changed. It's like, you're not supposed to stay on these forever, but they are there to help you, and damn it, use them. You know, why struggle? Why fail when there's options out there? You know, there are grants out there. There's, you know, you don't have to go and buy one can of milk for $50 or $30-$40 for your baby. There are assistance programs that are out here giving you a whole bunch of them, you know, for free. And, you know, sometimes we have so much pride that we don't want to use these, you know, we don't want to use these programs, or we don't want to tell people that we are using them for fear that we might lose it, or, you know, for fear of judgment or whatever. So I just put it out there so that people can let go of some of their discomfort. And also, if they didn't think it was an option, now it's an option. And do your research.
Yeah, you used the word pride a couple of times, and I even wrote that down as a note. Like, I mean, I feel like that's a thing, right? Like, it's knowledge of, do I have access to this, and then it's like, oh, do I want this thing?
Oh no, that's for poor people. Nope, that's for poor people. Or
but everyone, I mean, how many people took the government assistance from the COVID checks in the last year? That wasn't for, you know, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there's similar things in that kind of case, right? It's an assistance program. You took the 1,216 whatever money, or and then people are getting money for their children and stuff like that. It's like, why wouldn't you capitalize on that? Like, if they're going to give it to you, you're going to pay taxes on it. Like, you might as well,
exactly.
Like, if you have it, go for it. Like,
because otherwise the people who don't really need it are going to end up getting it.
That's what people would say.
I mean, that's the logic.
Oh, I see. They would move that money to something else.
Yeah, it would go to things that don't really need it, or people are going to take advantage of it that don't really need it.
And I think a lot. I think a lot of people don't recognize, they just see the word entrepreneur, business owner, founder, something like that. And they're like, oh, that person's super successful. They don't actually, they don't have, peeled behind the onion, if they will, of that. And so it's something that I think, look, there's this allure, there's like this glitter bomb of like sparkly stuff that like is associated with entrepreneurship, but it's damn hard. And I think that having some sort of program, whether it be food stamps or something else, for that thing that creates all the jobs in the world, or in the United States of America, maybe there should be something a little bit more supportive, instead of just another educational program for people. Maybe there should be some sort of financial assistance for people. And so I appreciate that. So how long did you just jumped on it because you thought it? Because
I
you
used
were
them
called
when
back?
I needed it. Yeah, I put it out there, one, because there's a whole bunch of entrepreneurs out there who do not have health care. Okay? My man has been an entrepreneur. He's had his studio for almost 12 years. He has never had health care until last year, when I said, why don't you take advantage of the marketplace? He's paying $39 a month now for his health insurance. And I'm like, this whole time you were afraid to go to, you were trying to avoid the doctor because you were afraid of a bill. Yeah. But he was paying for dental insurance, which was like, I think $20 a month or whatever. So he was keeping his teeth clean. But
you're appreciative of that, I'm sure.
Yes. But his insides were not being checked up on. He when I had the baby, he and I both caught COVID. And I'm just gonna put this out there, right? But he and I both had COVID. He had just gotten health insurance maybe like a month or two before that. So imagine if he had to go into the hospital for COVID.
What was COVID like?
Everything that he's built in his business can be taken away by a snap of a finger because he didn't have health insurance.
What was the COVID experience for you? Not necessarily just like how did it like affect you, but like being away for weeks from the business perspective. Like what was the whole? Well, actually, maybe just the whole 24 months of COVID. Like what has that world been like for you? Because you opened a new shop during it. It's been wild.
Personally, I had a really good COVID experience in the beginning. I was able to close the shop for 5 months, work on some personal spiritual stuff, and really grow into my new vision. And I just learned. By
the way, I think I would also say I had a really good early COVID experience because I had nothing else to do. Like I just worked out. Yep. I was like, well, I have no excuse. I can't go to a bar. I can't go to a meeting with people. I can't go to a bad lunch. It was like, okay, the only thing I got to do is like, so I'm with you on it. And I think you took advantage of that. And so good on you for that. Sorry to jump in on that.
No, you're good. That's exactly what I did. I just worked on my new, my new vision. We rebranded. My boyfriend helped me rebrand. So we did that, came up with some different futuristic ideas to help us grow in our storyline and really just bang that out and went on a lot of walks. I actually lived in Ghent during that time, went on a lot of walks, did a lot of yoga and, just personal development. And yeah, I had a really good beginning COVID experience. And then once we reopened, of course, I still avoided COVID throughout the whole entire time. And so, so COVID hasn't been terrible. I took advantage of a lot of grant applications and ways to, to tap into money that was on the table for small businesses and minority-owned businesses. And women-owned businesses, I just continued to educate myself on everything that I could take advantage of to grow, to pivot.
What were so during that time as you reset, what were some of the things in turn that you did to innovate your business when you did open up the doors?
To innovate after I opened the doors. Okay,
Yeah.
so just honing in on that social aspect. People were missing music. People were missing live music. So we started a local set called Local Time, where we basically bring in local artists to come in and we record them and give them some exposure. We also would build Spotify playlists of local artists and to give them exposure as well. And really just promoting healthy social interactions post COVID. And one thing that we used to do was heartside hugs. That was our thing. You know, people come in and they would be able to, get heartfelt welcome. And so even though we haven't been able to do that as much, we have tried to put that into our service. So I'm really big on customer service. And so everyone who walks through that door should be treated like family and should be ready to come back and claim the space as home. And then the last thing was implementing an employee program to help better retain employees, but also to support this whole entrepreneurship wave. So I actually had this idea before COVID ever happened, was to have a platform for aspiring entrepreneurs to have to be able to showcase their products or their skills or whatever in my space. And so I've been able to do that with my employees because they're all aspiring to do different things and to do their own entrepreneurship thing in the future. So, I kind of bring that out of them as much as possible and kind of build that rapport with the employees, but also promote that with the customers so that they know that they're supporting a business that supports their employees really heavily.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, just because you were able to do so much, I mean, it just, to me, Zack and I have talked about this many, many times on previous shows about how everyone would talk about, oh, we can't wait for things to go back to normal. And it's like, things are not going to ever go back to normal. You have to evolve your business some way in order to succeed. So you have evolved, you've brought in ways to bring in customers, keep employees, help
Innovate
with
or die.
entrepreneurs. Exactly. And whereas the people that didn't do anything, they're the ones that unfortunately have oftentimes had to shutter their business.
But they also never innovated throughout. They were the same. Like,
right.
I don't know why I'm talking about a lot of food businesses. Maybe I eat a lot of food.
Whatever comes up.
But I think of like Panera, right? Like Panera, I believe, really understands their customer, right? They understand, I bet if you were to talk to their kind of segmentation of who their customer is, they have the people that go in and want to go to the counter and do that. They're the people who never want to step foot in that place. Okay, we'll deliver it to their car. Oh, actually, we can deliver it to you now. Oh, the people that are super mobile. Okay, we can do it that way. So then you come in and then we'll deliver it. Like, they really know that, and they've innovated throughout all of that stuff. And it's, I think people should look at that and not be like, oh, it's a big brand. It's like, what are they doing to stay relevant? What are they doing to get people to keep to keep coming in some capacity? And I think that's powerful.
To take that one step further, Zack, and it doesn't necessarily come down to which business has the most money in order to implement those changes. It really comes down to what business is able to implement it quicker than the other business and figure out what's going to work.
And even willing to talk to people about it.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure that there's conversations, there's those little focus groups, there's just, looking at other stuff. I mean, you look at Chick-fil-A now, they have a third lane. I mean,
right.
Obviously people are willing to wait for something that's, to me, Chick-fil-A is a customer service business. Luv, you talked about customer service being so important. Chick-fil-A, yes, they make a chicken sandwich and it's good, whatever. But they're a customer service business, and those who suck at that customer service there, they don't make it. And I think that's powerful. All right, so sorry, Tim. Yeah.
No, I was just to take that one step further. Is you had mentioned earlier in the program that people would stay for an extended amount of time, where other restaurants, it's very transactional in nature. They want to turn tables as quick as they possibly can. Sure. You have had a time to communicate with those customers, the family, guests, whatever you want to consider them to be. So then it was an easy transition for you to understand what those customers wanted, so that you could evolve. And then they were there when you opened your doors again. So very relational versus transactional.
I think people want me in a suit. I think that's what I'm hearing out of all of this.
And the other part is, we do need the seats to be rotating, right? We need people to come in, eat, and, be ready for the next. However, if they are going to come in and take it to go, they need an experience, not like you said, not just transactionally, but they need an experience while they're picking up their items. So
that experience should suck, right? I mean, you can think about how many times, like, if you go to the Mac Shack, you're carrying out to go, that experience sucks. If you go to Panera in that exact same scenario, your experience is not bad, right? It's a lot more positive. You go and you pick it up off, you see your name there, you see the person's check that stuff off, right? You go to McDonald's and they can't even, they give you a small fry instead of a large.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good thing.
And, we knowing your customer. So even if they are always going to come in and take it to go, when they call in, we're like, is this Joe? Hey, Joe, what's up? All right, same thing. All right, cool. We got you. No problem. Just come and grab it. 15 minutes.
Goes a long way.
Yeah, and I'm just going to tell this story because I'm really proud of her. But my very first employee, her name is Laurel. She does music. So definitely check her out. But when she first started working with me, she's my bluntest employee. She's just gonna say it how it is, however it comes out, and she's loving. Her heart is pure. She's amazing, super loyal. Like, we'll ride to the ends of the earth for her. She's amazing. But when she first got to CLTRE, it was like customer walks through the door and she's just like stale-faced. Have you figured out what you wanted yet? It's just like, it was the most straightforward experience. And when I would be working and they would come in, they were like, how are you? She would be like, how are you have so many tips all the time? Whatever. And I'm like, well, soften your face first. And two, I mean, I'm not entitled to these tips. I'm not entitled to their money. But I give them an experience as if I were them. And I want them to walk out of here and feel good and not just they just came in, they got some good food and they left. No, they came in, they met love, they had a conversation. While I worked on their food, I got them out. They didn't really want to leave, but they had to get to work.
Yeah, they want to sit in those 4 chairs from 8 a.m. on. I mean, let's go. Also, I mean, you listen, right? So clearly I was listening to 20 minutes before. We got a lot. I got a lot of questions before we
I know. Well, last thing, she's our best customer service now. Like, she's it. I mean, she's amazing. I mean, period.
Restaurants and margins are a hard thing, I think, for people to establish and really grasp and understand. Where did you learn yours? Where did you learn how to handle all that?
Math. Working in the bank. Yeah, working in the bank. A lot of what I learned was intuitive.
Got it.
Because where I was looking for a black and white model, I'm like, yo, just give me the black and white. There was no black and white. I had to intuitively know, or I intuitively knew, okay, I need to know how many servings, how many, how many ounces. I need to break it down to the barest number. And then I'll, and then bring all the other ingredients back in once I've broken all those numbers down. And
is that easy to coach, to teach, to have your teammates grasp and understand that, hey, like this thing has to be this thing, and here's why? Like, is that an easy concept for them to grasp?
For the most part, yeah, because they all understand that we do get kind of banged upside the head for having all plant-based ingredients. So there are some items that shouldn't be as much as they are, but they are, right. So, but they understand. Yeah. And we started at such a good margin, at such an affordable cost, that it's easy for us to kind of hike it a little bit and just add a little extra on to get it to where we need it to be based on inflation. So we just do that, and we do it at the very last minute when we're like, okay, this has to happen now. So we kind of take it, you know, take it to the end of its.
Have you had to raise your prices in the last couple of months as cost of goods have gone up?
On certain items, yes. So in the restaurant world, just across the board, we lose on some items and gain on others. So where there's one item that costs us barely anything to make, then there's an item that costs us like, yo, I'm not making any money on this item. But there's those other items where we can't put them at a super low price point because then the value of the item isn't regarded.
Well, there's that aspect of it too, right? I mean, avocado toast has got to be expensive because it's avocado toast.
Right. And so we have to make up for it.
Even though you don't like avocados, I mean, it's okay.
But I make some damn good avocado toast.
I mean,
so we make
but
up
do you
for
eat it? I mean, how do you know it's damn good?
Because I have to taste it. I have to you know.
I'm just saying. Obviously, it wasn't good enough to convert you to keep eating avocado toast.
It's not the avocado; it's the texture. I can't do. I can't. It's not my thing.
Whatevs.
Avocado's not my thing. Sorry, Zach.
I know
that's how you lost all your weight.
Avocados? Not really. I mean, I honestly, I'm cheap, and avocados are too damn expensive. Tim doesn't like avocados.
No, I'm not a fan.
Aldi. Go to Aldi. They're like 75 cents.
Yeah, but then they're not big enough. I mean, whatever. Is there a legit job, teammate, employee crisis going on, in your opinion, or is it just a lot of hype around it? And if there is, what are some of the things that you're doing to keep people around and to get them to want to stay? Because it seems like there's a lot of opportunities for people to work, and so it's difficult to really wrap your head around. Okay, is this really a problem, or where are we in the world?
All right, from an objective standpoint.
An objective standpoint on a subjective matter, right?
Huh?
An objective standpoint from a subjective matter, right? Yeah.
Well, because I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. So right now, there's a ton of job openings. There's a ton of people who were out of work because of their jobs during COVID and all that. So there's layers to this whole epidemic. One is that so many companies went remote that they learned they could cut a lot of overhead by staying remote. Two, a lot of people started on their entrepreneurship journeys. They started small businesses. I mean, Etsy's going crazy right now. Facebook Marketplace is rampant. There's a whole wave of entrepreneurship happening right now in a lot of women who are also entering the entrepreneurship field. And then there's a lot of anti-college people. There's a lot of anti-corporate people right now because of the narrative around it. And so people are starting to control kind of the spaces that they want to be in. And all that's creating a domino effect. So there's staffing issues, and there are companies that are like, maybe we don't need to hire as many people because we can work remotely, and we don't need to have a building or whatever. So there's just like a bunch of domino effects happening, and it's like, imagine shaking a house up, and then everything is not going to go right back into its place. So now you're like, I don't remember how that was. I don't remember how that lamp was.
Christmas things where you shake up.
Right. It's like I don't remember where that lamp was, so I have to put it somewhere else now. I'm going to just rearrange this real quick. I'm just going to give it a fresh look. That's what's happening in our in our economy right now is things were shaken up so badly, or so, I'm not going to say badly, but things were just shaken up that now we don't remember what was in its place. And so now we're having to just do a whole new refresh. And so for me, I had to create a progressive model that supports my employees who are anti-corporate, because I have an employee on my team who left Cheesecake Factory because he was just like, I just want to, he took a nice size pay cut just to do it. But in this, he has more time. He enjoys the environment. We support him, in his skill set. So he's able to do workshops and things like that for customers. And, we encourage him to do other things outside. So, hey,
he's empowered, it sounds like.
He's empowered, right? So anybody who feels disempowered right now, they're looking for empowerment. And again, that's where the misplacement is now that things were shaken up and they were forced to now sit in that. And a lot of us sat in freedom and liberation, and we were like, oh, this is what it feels like. Oh, hell no, I'm not going back to that. And so there's just everything shaken up right now. And so it's not that we're in an epidemic. It's that we are figuring out what's going to be placed where now.
Stuff's still falling.
Exactly. We're still trying to, and I think it's personally going to change the employment structure that's been in place for so long. That 9 to 5, people are going to want their time now. They're not going to want to continue to.
What's your thought of that from a standpoint of, well, you still got to work too? I mean, you got to get paid. You get paid to do work. People are starting to see that there's way more money available outside of corporate than there was at corporate because of their time. It's time that people that people were relinquishing for so long. Or I'm sorry, it's time that they were sacrificing for so long that now they want to relinquish. They don't
want to give it back.
They don't want to relinquish that time. Exactly. They don't want to relinquish that time.
Can't blame them.
I mean, you can't, but and also, it's gonna cause companies to innovate, like what we're doing. We have to.
Oh yeah.
It definitely came sooner than I expected, but because we are a small business and we have to think about retaining employees because we can't pay them what the big corporate companies can pay them, that we have to think of ways to support them and still give them their time so that they can work on whatever it is outside of. So it's a lot of part-time employees who have time to work on their own stuff as well.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, when I give somebody my Calendly link, the earliest time that I have available is 10 o'clock. I mean, if someone wanted to suggest an 8 o'clock or a 9 o'clock meeting, it's like, no, that's crazy. That's my time. Yeah,
that's your time. And you set that parameter, and that's what employees are doing right now is they're setting those parameters. They're saying, because even my employees, sometimes I have to catch my chest from falling out my body because I'm like, you just told me what you, and it's just like, but that's the way of the world. I have to flow with it, or I can resist it and lose my business.
Where do you see the business in 5 years? That's my last question I have, Zach. As we round home, where do you see the business in 5 years?
You want to know my secret?
I want the recipe of the waffles too. I mean, I don't even know the ingredients.
In 5 years, so we are actually we are growing. We're opening a waffle bar, which is just a spinoff of the vegan joint. But in 5 years, we hope to have franchise locations that we're building a program where basically we can franchise our locations off to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to be in the field. And it's awesome. A 3-year program where basically for 1 year, they're training. And for 2 years, they're running their own location. And then the last 6 months of that second year, they are training the person who's going to take over after them. So basically what the program does is gives them that two years worth of track record, that paper trail, so that they can now go and get their own funding, or to, now present their own model. And throughout that whole entire time period, we do meetings, we do business plan building, we do leadership training, we do customer service training, and it's all so that they can build their model for outside of culture. So we're not franchising to anybody who just wants to come in and just have a whole bunch of franchise locations and make money. We're doing it so that we can build new leaders and teach them entrepreneurship.
That's awesome.
And give them a paper trail where they don't have to have any upfront capital.
I dig that.
I do too.
You talked a little bit about, kind of from the food stamp perspective, just opportunities for minorities, opportunities for people that might be looking for a little bit of help. Where can people find stuff like that? Like, what's the best place for them to be on the lookout for?
Ask the first part of your question again.
Where can people? So you talked about the food stamp stuff, and there are people out there who might be looking for a little bit of assistance or help in something like this. Like, where can they start to find an opportunity to be able to find that? It's kind of
human services. Your city human services.
City plus human services. Just
your city's human services. So the city of Virginia Beach Human Services, or city of Chesapeake Human Services. You can also Google, food stamps. Apply for food stamps in Chesapeake, Virginia, or Virginia Beach, or Norfolk. All of it's online. Healthcare.gov for health insurance. That's really important. So healthcare.gov, and they cover, and there they also tell you if you qualify for Medicaid. So healthcare.gov is the Obamacare website that was established during his presidency, and it basically lays out it has the whole crux of the healthcare system in there, with all the ways to apply. And basically, if you qualify for Medicaid, which is free health insurance, they go ahead and submit that to your state or your city, and you qualify for that, or they tell you which plan you can now sign up for that you qualify for on the marketplace that you can choose. So yes, get healthcare. If you do nothing else, get healthcare.
There you go. Tim, anything else?
No, I agree.
Okay, I'll end with this. Vegan or plant-based, does it matter? So, like, forever, people were using the word vegan. Now it seems like plant-based is more whatever. I mean, they're the exact same thing. Yet, really?
No. Plant-based is exactly what it's plant-based, but people who are more plant-based, they still flex. Not everyone, like, people consider themselves whole plant-based vegans, but plant-based is just a plant-based diet that consists of more plants than not.
Okay, so I didn't realize that I was under the impression that they were interchangeable words, that plant-based was getting a better runway than vegan because vegans got a bad runway before for whatever reason, right? But I guess there is a difference.
There's a difference in the lifestyle. Now, if you see it on a product, it is made from plants, right? But plant-based, from how I'm learning it, plant-based people, they just eat. They consist more of whole plant-based or
give me all the spinach.
Food diet. Yeah. So, like, they may eat fish once a month or twice a month or whatever, or they may eat chicken every now and then, or maybe they'll just do turkey for Thanksgiving. So that's plant-based. Whereas veganism is like the protest. Yes. It's like, go vegan for the animals.
Got it.
And of course, like, everyone's going to have their own interpretation. But if I'm looking at it from a broader perspective, People who are talking about plant-based are talking about food and health, and people who are vegan more so talk about go vegan
Interesting.
for the
Got it.
animals. Go vegan because it's the right thing to
The
do.
clothes, everything. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more like a protest.
Well, I learned a ton here today.
Me too.
It's been good to catch up. I haven't seen you in quite some time, so I'm glad we were able to do that. Everyone should go check out CLTRE Vegan Joint. Add the A
The
if
only
you
thing
want.
missing from CLTRE is you.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Have you seen it? You see how it's spelled out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there on the screen. I get it now. There you go. That was clever. Look at that.
The mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop. All right, Love. It's been great. See you soon.
Hey, see you soon.
Thanks, Love.
Pierce.
Thank you guys.
Pierce. Later.